Hello, you multi. Many minions marching. Not particularly flattering, but it is a malt mention, and a big thank you to Old Man Things Mike for providing it. Welcome to my channel. I'm Ralphie and I review whisky, and I'm just starting a new series which relates to specifically auction bought bottles of whisky and rum. And if you're in the USA, you'll be really struggling here because the laws are really quite, in my opinion, archaic and irrational, specifically around alcohol. And this is a direct legacy, in my opinion, of Prohibition period, which of course was about removing alcohol as a fuel, not as a beverage, in my opinion. And what happens is when different states introduce different laws which are similar but different, you get confusion. And in some states in the USA, you can access auctions, usually wine auctions with spirit sections. But it's in the UK that is really one of the best places in the world, actually, you're spoiled for choice with auctions. And this means that you can buy bottles of liquor that are not available in the retailers because they've been and gone, they've become more historical, they are timelined into antiquity. And also, there may be bottles on sale at auction which are significantly cheaper than the standard retail price, particularly at some specialist liquor retailers who tend to hike the prices up because they're influenced by fashionability. So it really pays in the UK to keep an eye on the auctions and just see what's happening. It gives you a window as to the true value of whisky and rums and other spirits in relativity rather than the imposed value when the producer, distributor or retailer demands that you accept that the value of the whisky is the price they put in the bottle. This is not often the case. The fact is that there are many whiskies which are good value, in which the producer gets a nominal profit and it's sufficient to oil the wheels, so to speak, of their business and have the continuity of production, sales and feedback. However, if you're in the USA, I wish you luck. You're struggling. Your best chance is to go to a general auction or keep an eye on local general auctions, where the occasional cardboard box will be dumped in from a house clearance. And you're going to find these old bourbons, old whiskies, old rums, old ryes, which have some form of genuine antiquity to them at times. There's many people who'll get a bottle or be gifted a bottle of spirits and they'll never open it because it's not their habitual drink. They prefer a beer or they prefer wine, and so the bottle remains unopened in the back of a cupboard somewhere for special guests who frequently never appear, particularly as people get older and start to get forgotten about. And that's the way of the world. So I'm starting this 4-week review series, all the whiskies and rum that I'm reviewing, I bought at auction. I will tell you how much I paid. I'll tell you why I bought it. I'll review it. And of course, I'll go into extra detail with the extras. Now, for you Ralphie regulars who are quick off the block when I upload a video, you may have noticed that last week I made public an odd looking video in which I introduced all the bottles, well, most of the bottles that I am going to be reviewing over the next 4 weeks. I made a mistake because I couldn't find my reading glasses. These are my reading glasses, and they let me see the small print, particularly on a computer screen. So I uploaded the wrong video, so you got a snapshot of a Patreon subscribers video. And thank you, by the way, for those of you who immediately subscribed to my channel, and the quality of that and the content of that video, much appreciated. Welcome to the Extra Extras live streams and the Discord channel, in which you get hugely valuable and useful information above and beyond what I'm actually contributing myself. Because never underestimate your fellow viewers on channels like this and how much they know. People are mines of information, particularly when you bring people together into what's basically a virtual club. Here's the first of the bottles I'm reviewing, and I'm going to tag this on to my last review, 1037, which was in fact a bottle of rum. This is the bottle of rum that I've bought to open. It's Demerara rum, bottled by an independent Scotch whisky bottler called Kingsbury's, who are actually, although their address is in Aberdeen, when you look in the back of the label, you see a little bit of Japanese writing symbol, which gives you a clue that this is in fact a Japanese importer who is sidelining and diversifying into being an independent bottler. And Kingsbury are noted for bottling a lot of Demerara style rums, which are matured in ex-whisky casks. Some of these casks are of exceptional quality, and others, I would say, are perfectly competent. I haven't heard of anybody actually who's bought any Kingsbury product and been resoundingly disappointed with it. But a word of advice, if you do see this in retail, be careful what you're paying for it, because these styles are these smaller, more boutique, as they call them, independent bottlers. Samaroli is another very good example. Adelphi, yet another good example. If they've got any sort of status in their name, the value of the bottlings can become unreasonably and irrationally high. Let's pour some of this. This is a non-age statement Demerara rum from Guyana. I'm going to cover the specifics of Demerara rum in my next video, 1038 Extras, which will be coming along after this. It has been bottled single cask, cask strength, and naturally presented. Sure, they could have put a little bit of caramel into the cask, right, when they put the rum in to mature. That's not unusual. But the thing is, with rum, caramel gets assimilated very successfully, and therefore having E150 or its variants inside a cask of rum doesn't bother me half as much as it would in the more delicate Scotch single malt malted barley whisky. This has been matured for an undisclosed length of time in a ex-Glenrothes cask. So here we have, now this is from a few years ago, this was bottled. Here we have an independent bottler of whisky and rum who has the opportunity to mature the rum and finish it in whisky casks. Now, you and I are very much aware of how much whisky is matured in ex-rum casks. The big corporate multinationals are all over it because it gives them a variation on the theme. But when you get rum, which has been matured in ex-whisky casks, and probably fresh emptied wet whisky casks, what you have is a fusion going on. And I'm going to cover this in this review here to a certain extent. I would say that the Glenrothes influence has been delicate and restrained. However, there are other casks which can be much more forceful in their impact in the rum. I'm telling you right now, beware of peated rum cask finishes. They can be notoriously hit or miss when applied to secondary maturation of a rum. They're a novelty. They attract the whisky drinkers who want to taste and try because it sounds like an idea. Most of the time, it's not. It's exactly the same impact as when proper cask conditioned ale is matured in an ex-whisky cask which happens to be heavily peated. It just doesn't quite work. Speyside casks from Speyside distilleries, they generally work very well with rum because they kind of meet in the middle. There's more of a softness in the exchange. There's less likely to be a fallout and clash of these strong-willed characters, whether it be a molasses rum or a Demerara rum, or the peatiness in particularly a young ex-single malt whisky cask. Cheers. Let's get stuck into this. 62%. What have we got in the nose? A big, intense, rich, caramel, classic signature of Demerara rum, which is specific in style at the moment, although that's going to change, to Guyana. Guyana, although it is a small country, well, relatively small country, that is part of South American continent, it is considered in many respects to be part of the Caribbean circle of islands that all produce some of the finest rum and the most diverse rum in the world. So Guyana gets lumped in there, and fair play, you will find Guyanan rum in the British style of Navy rum, because Guyana did provide rum significant quantities to the Navy, Royal Navy under the contract, which still partially exists, but now the bottlings of Navy rum, British Admiralty Navy rum, are basically virtually exclusively bottled by the brand called Pusser's. There we go. Taste. Now, I know it's 62%. I've spent a little bit of time with this bottle. As you can see, it's still got its auction label around it. I'll tell you how much I paid for it shortly. This is where you gently roll the rum round the glass and you don't hurry anywhere. For please, never rush a rum like you would never rush a whiskey. Treat them both identical. Same glasses, same water, same nosing, same tasting procedure. The main primary difference is the difference in indigenous flavour of the ingredients. That's the difference. Biting, strong, young. I put this no more than 6 years old. I'd say the previous cask was a little bit underwhelming. This is real gutsy Guyanan rum. It's a little bit hot, but there again, it's a little bit strong. So let's add at least 2 teaspoonfuls of water, 5 millilitres and 10 millilitres. Off to a good start now. The flavour is rich and caramel toffee. It has soft spices, it has cardamom, it has super soft cinnamon notes, it has allspice, and importantly, something that really jumps out at me is, what's the name of that? Nutmeg. I was just about to forget it there. It's not unusual in this channel, on nutmeg. Lovely stuff. Once you've got your bearings with rum, you're more able to differentiate between molasses rum and agricole or fresh pressed sugarcane juice. They are dramatically different as ingredients, not marginally, dramatically different. And then we have this third style, at the moment still specific and associated with Guyana, called Demerara. In Britain, you can still go into larger supermarkets and bakers, home bakers, will buy Demerara sugar, which is a soft, almost golden syrupy style of soft brown sugar, which has more of a nuttiness and toffiness to it, and they'll use it for crumbles and cakes if they don't want too much of a molasses or a treacle note, and they don't want to use golden syrup because it doesn't add that much flavour at all. That's why they use Demerara sugar. I will No, I'll leave that to shortly. Leave that shortly. What did I pay for this? I paid for this bottle £50 at auction. There's the auction identity, the auction sticker. It was lot number it was in auction number 155, lot number 4337. I have been sitting. Now, I'm not specifically recommending this auctioneer. All I'm saying is that the auctioneer, I have previous experience with selling bottles of whisky, and I've never ever once encountered a problem. They're a really good, strong team. Many auctioneers do provide a good, strong team, and increasingly they're developing their own expertise to siphon out the fakes. And that's also very commendable to see. In fact, with Scotch Whisky Auctions, who I bought this from, I have in the past been having a look at some of their suspected fakes just for my own points of reference, and as you can imagine, providing a little bit of input and perspective, particularly with the use of a magnifying glass and an ultraviolet torch. I won't go any further than that. Cheers. I've added 2 spoonfuls of water. That's 10 millilitres of water. It's cutting the alcohol down. Because it's a younger rum, the signature of the stills is richer and bolder because it's not been overtly weathered by the cask. The first cask was a jobbing cask, not a classic cask. That was left to the Glenrothes, whose delivery and impact on this rum during whatever period of time it was secondary maturing or finishing, as they call it, has been minimal. It's really just been kind of rounding things off and not a lot more. The addition of the Glenrothes signature into the rum is practically invisible. Immediately softer in the nose, rich. Coming back to you, I'm really using that word rich, but really the flavoursomness of this is quite noteworthy. And the fullness of the fullness and relative delicacy due to some partial bottle conditioning. Glass, when whiskey or rum or any spirit goes into glass, it doesn't mature, but it does continue to age more slowly. It weathers. Oxidization carries on at a much, much, much slower pace, but it definitely happens. And when it does, most of the time it's for the good. Taste. Spice is there. More water. The alcohol is still prominent. It's still, that was 6 millilitres. The nip is still there. They should have left the Glenrothes cask at least a couple of years longer. But, in fairness, this is a perfectly competent rum. Lots of energy. Lots of rounded, youthful notes without much cask influence. The cask influence it's just not happening, to be honest. There is a little bit of slightly green oak in the background, but it's not particularly prominent. Another piece of advice I want to give you is, see when you have an agitated spirit, just leave it. Leave it 24 hours. Leave it to the following day. Don't store it in sunlight and don't store it anywhere hot. Store it somewhere cool and in the shade. It will improve with oxidization by the fact that there's a lot of volume of alcohol in there to preserve it. And what it'll do is it'll round off, suppress the nippiness that's coming from the spirit itself, which I have to say, when it was made, it's just a little bit rushed. Yeah, you can pick up in these things. But I'm not complaining. To go to a retailer now and buy something like this, a Guyanan rum, they're not that easy to find. I bought this specifically out of curiosity. It's why I bought it. Am I happy with the results? Yes. Is it a banger of a rum? No, it's not. It's a practical jobbing cask strength single rum from a couple of casks that didn't quite do their job 100%. They did their job 75%. At least the second cask did. The first cask about 60%, but we're still getting a characterful result. Settling down very nicely now. Green notes are coming in. Chlorophyll, menthol, mints are coming through, mintiness, spearmint, pineapple mint. There's pineapple fruit, green pineapple coming through. Now it's now beginning to open up. It just needs the time. It's becoming much more interesting and engaging. There's a little bit of what you call plantain banana. That's the green banana that is quite hard and needs to be pan-fried or boiled. I've tasted that when I was in Panama decades ago on some expedition. Archaeological expedition. It was very interesting. Final notes before my rum mark. There's some acetone coming through now. That's a glue note. It's natural, it's not unpleasant. It really meshes in very nicely, actually, with the mint and green notes. And the slight green fusel, almost a kind of raw tequila note in the background as well. This is an elemental rum. And at that strength, I know I can keep that bottle for over 10 to 15 years. And I'm going to do that. And I'm going to come back to it occasionally. It may even feature again in a review in the future, an extras. A return to an old bottling. I've done this before with Laphroaig, which I basically finally finished off after 12 years. And I'm saying this just to remind you that you never get an expiry date or a use-by date in a bottle of spirits because, frankly, it's irrelevant. Bottles of spirits will last thousands of years if kept properly and correctly. And they become tangible antiquities. Hence the enthusiasm in the UK for auctions for sourcing old time-lined whiskies, where people can then discuss the barley that was available to make that, the manual labour and the staff at the distilleries in those days with no computer controls at all, when they were direct firing their own stills, when there was worm tubs before line arms. When we look at bottles of anything at auction, it becomes a private investigation. And sometimes we'll look at the price and we'll say, well, that's worth it. And other times we'll look at the price and say, no, that's slipping away from me. Never mind, maybe tomorrow. So let's give this a mark. It's competent enough, but it's not a stellar rum. It's a jobbing rum, but job well done. 82 out of 100. If you join me again for my extras, I shall be talking about Demerara style of rum. Just basically an introduction, particularly for whisky fans that don't know so much about rum. And the history is amazing. The history of rum is older than the history of Scotch whisky, by far. And the revival of rum is really an untold story at the moment. There is so much happening globally relating to rum that I'm not quite sure where to begin in that. And I've got to bear in mind that this is primarily a whisky channel, so this is an introduction to another spirit. So I hope you find it interesting, informative and useful, and if you do, just leave a comment, click like. I read through the comments, but I can't really respond to many comments these days because a lot of my attention, most of my attention, over 95% of my attention goes into the Patreon channel where I reply to everybody's questions. And there you have it. Any final comments? Well, Another bottle of rum that I bought was Mount Gay 14-year-old Andean Oak. Now, it's a beautiful rum, that. Comes in a green box from Mount Gay Distillery in Barbados, and matured in very active, resinous, high-altitude oak from South America. And stunningly well blended. The retail price has been from £180 to £220 in the UK, and I bought that bottle for £110. And herein lies a story, and that is that even before rum is getting assimilated into the wider conversation and within the whisky scene, there's distilleries out there pumping their prices up, trying to keep up and even overtake some whisky brands. So a reminder to rum distilleries: don't run before you can walk. If you want more people buying rum, give people a reason to buy rum. And that is the combination of quality and price. You know, it's like an Einstein theory of relativity. You know, quality times price equals value. If the price is too high, the quality is not good, the value diminishes. If the quality is high and the price is reasonable, the value increases. It's not rocket science. I'm Ralphie. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you soon, you rum rascals.